Okay, so we are continuing our project trying to get the vectorization so we can do a semantic search on our database. So let's just jump right in. In the last video, I was encountering some problems here on my campaign cache. It doesn't like this and it doesn't like this. Now I'm trying to figure out, okay, well, why is that the case? I put the errors into Gemini, and we're going to try to understand what the error was and why it actually occurred. So first one is for this video. So we get this AppDB context does not contain a definition for videos, and no accessible extension method videos accepting a first argument of type AppDB context could be found. Okay. So this error occurs because even though you created the videos class, okay, which I did, yes, you haven't told your DB context that a table for it exists. In Entity Framework, the DB context only sees tables that are explicitly declared as DB set properties. So if I come up to here, I have this right here, and I have DB set, okay, and then I have the actual builder. So I think what I need to do is just add this. So public db set for, okay, hold on. Let's stop this one from trying to steal our learning. So we do this, and we want to do it on what? Videos. So I'm declaring a variable called videos, right? Like this. What is this going to be? Set. I need to figure out what this what the syntax is. Set of the class, which should be video. Okay. Like this. So now, does that make my other one happy? Campaign cache here is now happy, and both errors actually ended up going away. Okay, so now what I want to do is we initially typed this out, these ones out, right? A long time ago, maybe like 2 weeks ago. And now when we were first going through it, we were mainly focusing on trying to get the speed for it. Okay, now it's time to say, okay, well, let's figure out what the syntax is here and do some understanding. So as with this project, there's a lot of things that I'm trying to accomplish. I'm trying to learn, I'm trying to increase my skills in many aspects. Number one is building a larger scale project. Number two is using those software engineering tool sets such as like GitHub Actions. This is my first time using GitHub Actions. How to do pull requests, how to do unit testing, how to do integration testing, how to do end-to-end testing, right? Like those kinds of things. Trying to understand how you have multiple different files within your entity or your .NET projects and multiple projects within projects within a solution. Just getting more practice building this kind of stuff. The other thing is, obviously, as we're doing this, we're going to get better with actually using C#. So, okay, great. Let's let's take some time and learn, like make sure that we're putting that into our head as we're doing it. Okay. So I copied this, and so it doesn't see it, essentially. And now they told us to give me this one, and now I did this one. Okay, like this. Okay. The top command is the one which I just put into my code, and it seems to have solved both of the issues. The second one is the way in which you told me to write it. I'm wondering what the differences between these two statements are, and can you fully explain every single C sharp concept which both of these lines utilize? I'm trying to understand and become very good at the C sharp syntax and concepts. Okay. There we go. Alright, so you stumbled upon the difference between a traditional property and modern expression bodied properties. Okay, so another thing that I like to do is whenever I come into a concept that I feel like I do need to investigate later on, I like to write it down, and that way I don't forget to actually go in and investigate, because what I realized is many times within doing either a project, like a personal project, or when you're doing something for work or school, whatever it is, if you just focus on fixing the immediate problem, well, you fix the problem and you build the project, but you miss out on a lot of really good nuggets of like knowledge. Okay, so I try to make a point of every time I see something that I'm like, oh, okay, this seems like it's important enough to actually investigate, but I can't investigate it right now because I'm in the pursuit of fixing my project. I try to write it down. So I'm going to write both of these down. Okay, so traditional property versus traditional property, right? Yeah. Versus modern expression bodied property. Modern expression bodied property. Okay. So while also touching on how Entity Framework handles memory. All right. Both lines accomplish the same goal, telling Entity Framework that the videos table exists, but they do it using different C# mechanics. Okay. So let's go in and understand how this C# mechanics actually work. So line 2, the traditional property. Okay, so this is the one that Gemini told us to do it. The way that Gemini told us to do it. Okay. So this is an auto-implemented property. Here we go. Write that down too. Auto-implemented property. Auto-implemented property. Okay. So property here, we have the get and set. This is a wrapper around a hidden field. Okay. So once again, when I was building the project and when we were going through a lot of these ones here, and whenever we have our actual classes, right, I kept seeing this, but I was a little bit focused on just really making sure that I moved forward. And whenever a project is being done, you have to balance between how much do you put like going down rabbit holes and how much do you put going and actually moving forward in your project. Now both have very useful benefits, and if you go down a whole bunch of rabbit holes, you tend to understand things on a deeper level going down in those rabbit holes, right? You understand it from really the base and up, but there's a lot of rabbit holes, and if you are moving forward in your project, you get more of kind of like that breadth, you know? So it's kind of a balancing act. And when I first saw these, I said, okay, fine, it's something about it. Maybe it allows like getters and setters, you know? And so that makes sense in this context. You have your member variables, and I know that you're going to have getters and setters, and it probably just allows you to manipulate this variable using get and set and stuff like that, right? But I didn't pay much attention to it at that time. Now, okay, well, we have gotten a working project. It's time to go and try to get a little bit more depth and understand, okay, well, how does C Sharp actually interact with these? And now it's talking that there is some kind of hidden field, which sounds very interesting. Let's continue down this. It allows other classes to read, get, and write set. Yes. So that part I knew. The new information which has arose is this hidden field, which I didn't know about. So what is this hidden field? All right, stateful. This property acts like a container. When you start your app, Entity Framework injects an instance of dbset into the container once. It stays there in memory as long as appdb context lives. Okay, so we might need Gemini to give us kind of a timing diagram or a flowchart or some kind of diagram to show us what does it mean by injects at start, and how does this work, right? I'm guessing because it used the word inject that it has something to do with dependency injection. But I would like to know a little bit more about how that's working. Okay, so line number 1, the modern expression bodied member, right? This is an expression bodied property using a method call. Okay, so here's a method call, right? Expression bodied is this arrow sign that we've kept seeing. So this is something in C Sharp that has multiple different meanings, and it's actually tripped me up so many times. We have the expression bodied property, which is this, and those are the ones which are the arrow when you are declaring a new variable. But then we also have the arrow operator for lambdas. And when do you use one versus the other? I think that the answer is expression bodied properties are used when you are declaring a new variable. The other ones, the lambdas, are any time you are not declaring a new variable. But then it gets a little bit more complicated that sometimes the lambdas are actually you're passing in an entire function to a function. So you're passing in an anonymous function to a function, but other times you are putting in the return value of that lambda expression. So I'm moving forward, I do want to pay a little bit more attention to this arrow operator, just as I just explained. Okay, I think now is a good time to go a little bit more in depth, get some more depth into our understanding of C Sharp specifically. All right, the operator is shorthand for get only property. It is equivalent to saying, okay, public db vector. So setting up this, so this is the class that it, or the type that it is, but it's custom for video objects. Here's the name, okay? And then we have syntax here that says get return and then set video here, okay? The set method, instead of holding the data in a container, like the property above, this line calls a function every single time you type db context videos, okay? It doesn't hold the db set. It asks db set to find or create the appropriate db set on the fly, okay? So deep dive into the concepts. To become an expert in C# syntax, you need to master these 4 concepts used in these lines. So generics, we already kind of know what generics are, but we can go through this. The video is part of a generic type parameter, the concept. Instead of creating video db set, user db set, and add db set, Microsoft created one master db set class. So the analogy is, think of a box where you can specify what goes inside of the box. So this one is a box that only handles video objects. It provides type safety. The compiler will stop you if you try to put an ad into the video set. Okay. Expression bodied members. This is purely syntactic sugar. It makes code more readable by removing curly brackets and return keyword for logic simplicity. Okay, so this is the way that I've seen it. So public int age, and then arrow 25. This is the property version. Okay. And then modern version is public int get age. I don't quite understand it yet, but we'll keep going towards it. Okay, so the set method. This is a method provided by the db context base class. Okay, so there's a right, so it inherits from that base class. When you use videos get set, entity core entity framework uses reflection to find that property and fill it. Okay. When you use this, you're explicitly calling EF's internal factory to fetch and set. This is often preferred in modern C# because it handles nullability better. Okay, honestly, I'm just as confused as before. In the second line, gets set, the property starts as null. If you don't initialize it, C# compiler might give you a warning. Okay. So follow-up question number 1 is going to be for these two. What happens with this? I guess I don't understand what's going on with either one of these lines as well. Question number 2 is going to be like this. Can you walk me through the full situation of what happens when this line is written? Number 3 is going to be guess we just go in and look at those. All right. To get good at C#, awesome. Between storing a value property and calculating a value method. Property versus method shorthand. Both of your examples use the expression body syntax. This is just a shortcut to avoid writing return. Okay, returns, yeah. The property version, public int age 25. What it is, a read-only property, okay? That I just returned 25. What happens every time you type var x equals object.age, the code internally executes a tiny function that returns, okay, 25. The magic, it looks like a variable, a field, but it's actually a method call. You cannot do, oh, because there's no, oh, okay, so this is not actually an int, it's like a function that returns an int. It's an int pointer, an int function pointer, almost. Okay. Maybe that's where some of my confusion was coming from. Okay. The method version. What this is it's a method. What happens is this is functionally identical to the property above, but the syntax is different. To use it, you must use parentheses. Right, because here we did object.age. But this one we need the object.getAge. Okay, and that also might clarify some of the other questions which I was having when we were initially writing up this project, which was, why is it sometimes when I am typing in either a method or a field or something, sometimes I use the parentheses, other times I just don't use parentheses. And I think this is what's going on. We have property version and method version. Okay. So the concept, in C# we use properties for data-like things, what age, and methods for action-like things, calculate the age. Okay. The anatomy of video get set. When you write public db videos get set, you're using an auto implemented property. Do I already have that? Yes, okay. That's already one of my things that I'm trying to learn. Okay. Here's exactly what the C# compiler does behind the scenes for whenever we do the videos and then get set. Okay. And is this different than when I do kind of like this within a class? I think it should be the same, right? Auto implemented property. Here's exactly what the C# compiler is doing behind the scenes. All right, the hidden field. The compiler creates a secret private variable you can't see. Private db set videos, hidden videos, okay? Because we called it videos, okay? And then underscore denotes that it's like a member variable. And then hidden videos, okay? So it's creating the secret variable. That's fine. The getter. It creates a method that reads field. Okay. So there's getter and setter, okay. It creates a method that reads that field. So this, same thing, is here, right? Creates just a little function that says return. Oh, so yeah, this is get videos here. So we have this little function that's hidden. Okay. That says return hidden videos, okay? It creates a method and updates that field. Okay, that makes sense. So now injection. When your app starts and you do new app.db context, entity framework looks at any property that has get and set and a type db set. Okay? It automatically creates a tracker for that table and plugs it into that hidden field. Tracker for that table, okay? The T entity error you had. When you used the old get set way, you likely hadn't initialized it, so the compiler thought it was null. Okay, I don't actually think that is what our problem is. We just didn't even have anything. Okay, instead of a full block of code, just returns one thing. Alright, so we were able to fix that problem, and now we're able to perform this command, but we need to understand how. I want to know, like, okay, well, now let's walk through every single line and understand a little bit better, like, why were my attempts failing, okay? But these ones are correct. So let's come in here, and I'm just going to copy and paste this, and then we'll come back to Gemini, paste this into here, and say, now that my method is working because I made those changes to my app.db context, I'm now turning my attention back to understanding the conceptual situation which is going on inside of my method. I want to understand everything in terms of concepts, and so please clearly explain all of the characters which are interacting in this situation. Feel free to personify these characters and show me how they are interacting to successfully set everything up. Okay. We're gonna go. Take a sip of coffee while it is doing it. I just feel like my brain has turned off today. I don't know why. My brain is just like, in the last video I did, I was struggling to just even read or speak. Then today, or then in this video, see, I just did it again. Then in this video, I feel a little bit better than the last one, but that's not saying much. I just feel like this. To understand this method, imagine your find vector from video ID function is the mission director. Okay, so let's look back at this and understand what's going on here. Before I do that, I want to make sure that I commit, just so that okay, so get status here. We changed all of those. Okay. Get add here, get And what do we want to say about this? Added a method to find the PG vector from the video ID. This will be required when we are attempting to do a semantic search and compare the vector from the video being watched and the vector of my ads. Okay. So here we go, and push this out. Feature is semantic search, okay. And now we pay attention to what's happening here. So var video is db context, which is my connection, right? Videos, and then I'm chaining these methods dot as no tracking. So I remember in the last video, the reason it said to do this one was because we don't want to load the entire object into, or we don't want to load the entire table into memory. We just want the one field which we're looking for. So it saves a lot of RAM. Then we do where, and again, with these kind of properties, I'm a little bit confused about how it's working, because are we passing in a function to the where, and then where is going to put in a parameter, and it returns if the ID is equal to video. Oh, that would make sense, because then it would go through all of its available iterables. It would pass it through this function. So we do pass in a function here. Oh, okay. That's actually making a little bit more sense. Yeah. And then it finds the first one that's true. And then it selects for embedding. Now, normally you do select star or select then the column that you want, and we want the embedding column. Awesome. So this part makes sense, kind of. Or this select statement kind of makes sense, but the syntax doesn't yet. I need to think about this a little bit. So we're passing in a function to the select statement, and we're giving a function, right? And what are we doing here? What select is going to do is say, okay, once I've found something, how do you want to actually grab it, right? And I'm going to take it, and what is it? It is the item which we are looking at, so the row which we found. And then I grab the embedding field of it, and then I create a new object. So I create a new object full of the embedding. And then I can find the first one, right? Like this one is just like saying execute this command, these commands here. So then once we select that, we return, I'm guessing, this object here to videos. And then we can return this object's embedding field. Okay, I think that's what's happening. All right. To understand this method, imagine your find vector from video ID function is the mission director, okay? To get that vector, the director has to coordinate a team of specialized characters, okay? So we have the director, the architect, the librarian, the translator, the bouncer, the sniper, and the courier. Okay. So let's meet all of these different characters. So the mission director, the organizer who defines the goal, right? That's our method. That makes sense. So the architect, app DB context. The only one with the blueprints of the entire database. Okay. So the architect is app DB context. And this is going to, oh, I think I know why I'm so tired. We got back to Oregon at like 4 in the morning last night. That would do it. Okay. Oh, interesting. I forgot about that. Okay, so the architect, the only one with the blueprints of the entire database. The librarian, DB videos, manages the video section of the library. The video section of the library. Translator turns C# human talk into SQL database. The bouncer doesn't want to make friends with the data. Okay. All right, I think what I'm gonna do is the I think instead of trying to go through this and slog through it and not learn as much, maybe I can use my time more effectively by changing it up and possibly going and doing like studying LeetCode or something right now and then doing the project later when I'm more well rested. I'm just trying to figure out how I allocate my time to make sure that I'm gaining the most for the situation that I'm in. So maybe we come back, or we could say that we come back to this. And then, yeah, my bid selector, what was wrong with this? Right, we want to figure out how to do this one. Okay. We can go to troubleshooting here, and then I'm going to say this has video ID, which is a request, which is a bid request, okay? So now I go to the shared models and I get bid request, and now I need to add that it could have a video ID. So I'm going to say public, and video ID is going to be a GUID called video ID. And now let's put this in here. I'm going to say I want to add a field to my request body class, which is going to be called video ID. But only some of the requests are going to have a valid video ID. How should I handle this? And when I'm doing my member variable declaration, should I have the get sets? And should I initialize it to null? bid selector is like this. Copy this. I can paste it in there. To be optional, using is perfect architectural choice, okay? Meaning normally it cannot be null, it defaults to, okay. So in C# GUID is a value type, meaning normally it cannot be null, defaults to here. By adding question mark, you allow the architect to represent the absence of a value. Alright, this is this the one that we were, oh, I love this. It did such a good job of being able to explain everything. Maybe I should have used a different, chat. Okay. Okay, so the property declaration. Anyways, the architect to represent the absence of value. Here is how you should handle the declaration and the logic in your service. So if bid engine or bid request class, yeah, here. We do have the get and the set, so I'm able to change this value, okay? And then I initialize it to null. So that makes sense now. See, now that we went and we looked at it a little bit more, now it makes sense. So we have the get and we have the set, and it's going to create those hidden things, and then we just set this to null initially. Okay. So why get and set? In modern C#, we almost always use auto-implemented properties, just like what we talked about. This allows Entity Framework and JSON Serializer, the character who translates the incoming web requests, okay, yeah, to easily write the data into the object. Makes sense? Handling the logic, the truthiness problem. In languages like JavaScript, you can just say if request video ID. Exactly, the way that I did it. But this is not, I knew that this was not the way that we needed to do it. That's why I put it in there. Because the reason is because, well, what about if it's not there? And I don't want really it to crash. I just want to check if it's there. And if it's not there, I just go to the other one. Okay, so is more strict. A GUID is not a Boolean. You have to explicitly check if it has a value. There's two clean ways of doing this. So, if dot has value. Okay. The other one is the null check. So, is not null. Okay. So, let's come back to here and let's comment this one out. And then I'm going to say if request dot video ID. Why did I comment that out? Like, just delete it. Like, what am I thinking? Has value. Okay. Is that a function or a, no. So this is what I mean, like sometimes we have parentheses here, sometimes we don't have parentheses here, and that goes back to what we just were doing in this video, which was there are the two different ways of initializing a variable. One of them was the function or the property way where you said like age arrow 25, and this one you can just do object.age and you get back 25, so it gives you 25. The other one was the method way, which you say like whatever public and then find age, okay, with the parentheses, and then you put in a little like thing that says what you return back. And that way is when you use the parentheses. Okay, so now we know that this one is the property way of doing things. Right here. Okay. A small refinement in your result variable. In the snippet, you declared bid response question. Because C# is worried about uninitialized variables, it might complain if you don't give it a starting value. Try the first principles approach. Okay. So start off with null, it wants me to do. Bid response is equal to null. Okay. There we go. This. Okay. So now, what I want to do, it should be the case that I will want to go and do the same kind of thing for ads. So I need my ads. I need to add the vector to the ads. No, I already did that, sorry. Yeah. So let's see. Did I even add videos yet? I'm not sure if I did. Video.cs. Did I add this? So I have this and this. So hopefully that will be good. I'm not sure. Did I seed the data yet? Where's my startup scripts? No. Infrastructure. Database. This one. Let's see if I even put ads or videos in here. So I have a video. Title, description, embedding. Title, description, embedding, but we have not actually created the vectorization yet. So, okay. So videos don't have a vectorization. They haven't, I think it means that they have been, let's ask that. So I'm going to come here. I really like the way that it was talking about the characters, so I don't want to change that, or I don't want to keep adding new things here. What do I want to do? New chat, fine. Okay. Paste this into here and then say, I am working on using Postgres database and PG vector to be able to eventually perform a semantic search. As of right now, this line is one of the lines which I seeded my Postgres database with. And I'm trying to understand what the embedding column actually holds for this item. Do I need to go and actually perform an embedding? And if so, which model do you suggest that I use? Notice that the vector dimension is 384, and I know that there is an open source model which uses that dimension. I am also in the C# environment. Okay. Fill array command is a simply a placeholder. That's what I thought it was. It fills the vector with the value 15 across all. Okay. Array fill 0.15 here. Okay, that awesome. That makes sense. Now we can move forward to figure out, okay, well, how do we actually do that? Or how do we actually get the real embedding based off the description? It contains zero semantic information about Gaming Highlights 2025. To perform a real semantic search, you need to replace the placeholder with a mathematical fingerprint. Okay. So, was it this one? You correctly identified that a popular open source model uses 384 dimensions, the all many LM here. Industry standard, lightweight, open sourced embedding. That's what I like. Yep, it's highly efficient for sentence level tasks, making it perfect for titles or short descriptions like yours. So, okay. Since you're in C# environment, you have three primary ways to generate these embeddings. Option A, smart components local embedding, recommended for ease, okay? Semantic kernel OLLAMA, if running as a sidecar. If you prefer not to bundle the model inside of .NET, you can use OLLAMA. Hold on, who is OLLAMA Facebook? OLLAMA owner or maintainer, whatever. Is it Facebook? I just want to know that. That's all I want to know. They're a small independent team in Toronto. Okay, never mind. Then what is the Facebook one? What is the Facebook open source model? The Llama family. Yeah, okay. Which is different than OLLAMA. Okay. Well, it's not developed by Facebook, so I'm not going to like if this was developed by Facebook, I would put a little bit more, importance on like trying to force it into my project. Um, but if it's not developed by Facebook, then I will put in the one which makes the most sense. Right? And that's something else with the project is sometimes I do make a little bit of design choices that don't quite make sense in terms of creating an optimal project, but do make sense in terms of creating an optimal resume. Okay. And so, an example of this is pretty soon we're going to need to introduce. So, we have all of these microservices, right? Pretty soon we do need to we have our front end, which uses JavaScript. It uses Node.js. It uses Express. It has EJS. It has the which essentially is HTML. It uses CSS. Okay, so it has all of those components. Nom, 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 right? I get that for free. I did this uh, design choice on purpose that it is not C# because I wanted to have a line that has all of those items there. Then another microservice that in the future we are going to have to develop is one in Java. Why? Because I want to be able to say the word Java on it. I want to be able to say the word Spring Boot on it. I want to be able to say certain key elements within the Java ecosystem just so that I can have that there within this one project. I want this one project to have multiple things. Okay. So if this was in fact developed by Meta, okay, then I would try to force it into my project, but it's not. So we can go with the one which makes the most sense, which is this one. All right, so you correctly identified that a popular open source model uses this. Okay, so awesome. Implementation. A smart component local embedding. Recommended for ease. Microsoft provides a library called Smart Components. Okay. So it's provided by Microsoft. It's called Smart Components Local Embeddings that runs all mini LM L6 v2 locally within your .NET process using this ONNX runtime. No external API or Python is needed. Okay. So we do this using statement, and then generate a real vector, okay? So now this one should actually be whenever I try to put something into my database, I want to use this embedding. So where can I put things into the database? Is it within the not this. Is it within my, so like shared bid request, right? So I have these getters and setters, okay? But I don't think this is where I actually do that because I want access to the database. So it is whenever so it should be in the budget or the campaign cash service. So it should be here. I think what it would be is, I think what I would do is have something similar to this. Let me come in here and just do public and then async again, task, and this will return something. I need to figure that out later. And then we're going to call this, what are we trying to do? We have a function that will, I am going to get a video ID. Okay, so I'm going to pass in a GUID, and this is going to be a video ID. Okay, and from that video ID, I am going to fill in all of the vectors, right? Actually, I think that there would be two separate functions. So I would do create vector from video ID, kind of like this, right? And this is going to return here, like this, okay? And then I'm also going to do something similar, which would be like this. Create vector for all videos, okay? And then this will be blank, okay? So that for this one, I'm going to go through all of the items within my database and create their vector based off their description. This one, I'm going to do it for a specific video, okay? So like this would be if the description gets updated or something like this. Or I guess I don't even have any endpoints. Let me take a note of that. I just realized that I don't really have any actual endpoints for creating and adding data from my C# into the database. If I did this, I would need to give the user a front end to be able to actually perform those operations. So this is something which I have not built out yet, but might be valuable into the future. Okay, and then I'm going to tag myself with this. Okay, that. So we're going to do these for now, and then we'll worry about adding things later. So what we need to do is we need to do this here. We can add this up top here, right? We'll probably have to do some NuGet installs, okay? And then this loads the model into memory, okay? And now why is this float array, and I'm expecting that we are going to have some problems with this because one is a float array, the other one is a PG vector. Okay, so let's do this one first. Let's come in here and we'll see float array is going to be this embedding. Okay. Embedding is equal to, and now we need an embedder, and this is just going to be a generic var type, okay, is equal to, and then I'm guessing that I use that Microsoft thing, right? Oh no, new local text embedder. Is that what I called it up here? Local embeddings. Okay, fine. So there's something in the namespace called, so new, and then local embedder. Local text embedder. Okay. Sure. Good. Obviously we're gonna have to do some NuGet installs here, but that's fine. And then embedding is equal to new embedder dot, and then embed. Like this, and then video description here, okay? And now we need to get that video in description. So now I need to do string, string, and could be nullable, I guess, is equal to, or no, string, string video description is equal to, and then in here, if video description is not null, I think we can do it like this, then we will put this one inside of it like that. Okay, so now I need a wait, and then db connection here dot, and now we can think about, let me move this up a little bit so I'm not tempted to look. What does it want to be? I now want to get the my purpose is to get the video description title. So I know that the last one is going to be dot like find first or default async like this. I know that that one was the last one. This executes the command, okay? So then I am going to need to do something here which actually gets the... So I know that in SQL normally we have to do a select statement. So select, and what do we want? We're going to pass in a function. Here, and we also need a where, right? So select something, and then where here, and we pass in a function too. Now let's look at the where video. So for the video, we need to check if the video.id, right, is equal to this video ID there. And what do we want to select? We want to select the for the particular video, we want to get the video dot, which column? Description? Is that what I called it? Or is it capital? Description. Okay. Like this here. Description like that. Okay. So it is not happy with this here. Cannot be inferred from the usage. Hold on, what do we do here? Select. This one is happy. They did a new thing though. Wait, no. New. Are you happy now? No, it's still unhappy. Okay. So we'll figure that out later. Actually, we'll figure it out right now. Okay. Question number 1 is, when I attempt to add the using statement, I am getting an error. I am assuming that this means that I need to install NuGet packages. Which one do you think I need to install? Okay. Number 2 is going to be paste this into here. And I am going to say for this, doesn't like my select statement here. This is the main thing. Okay. And then we will also ask, number 3 is going to be, I noticed that the way you suggest going about doing this is declaring the embedding as a float array, but I also know that I have stored these variables in something which is called a PG vector. Do you expect this to be an issue? Okay, so let's do that. And let's see, missing packages. So .NET add these 2 things. Entity framework core, we already have that. Local embeddings, this is what we want. And where are we? we are already in BitEngine, so we should be able to just do this and it should work. Are you happy right now? Seems no, but let me go into the app settings.json. No, csproj. Where's my here? Okay, sorry. Do we see it here? Did it successfully do it or what? Let me. Okay. Copy and paste that, and then it'll tell us what we need to do. Then resolving this one, the error occurs because DB context usually refers to the database context itself, but you need to oh, okay. I think I see what's going on with this one. DB context dot, and then the table is videos. Okay. Right, that makes sense. Or is it video singular? Contain a method videos. So we want to go to appdb context here, and okay, videos. This one or this one? I think we're talking about this one. Right. Let's see how the other ones do it. Videos, yeah. So that's what we're talking about. And now it doesn't like this ID. So I declared it here, so it should be okay. Okay, so we're gonna come here, and then number 2 is going to be, I was able to fix the issue with the video, and now my ID field is unhappy. Okay, and give that error here. And I should be able to come in here and go like this and say, when I attempt to run the .NET add command, I am getting this error. Although I don't think I needed to say that because I just realized I put the command right there. So anyways, we'll figure out what happens here. Oh, was there more code that I didn't oh right, because the PG vector. Okay. There will be no issue, but you do need to bridge between the two. In C#, a vector is just an array of floats. Yeah. However, Postgres driver needs to know that this is a specific vector array. Should be treated as a vector type in the database rather than a standard JSON or numerics array. So this is what we've been doing for a little while, trying to get our databases all set up. Okay, so in your model, define PG vector, which is exactly what we did. Okay. Although, hold on. Yeah, we didn't specify column type. Hold on. We just went like this here. We didn't do this thing. I don't know if that's going to be a problem. We'll see. You simply pass the array into the constructor, new PG vector. Okay. Pro tip, the singleton pattern. The local text embedder loads a machine learning model into memory. If you call new local text embedder every time the video is processed, your app will be very slow and might run out of memory. would you like me to show you how to register an embedder as a singleton in your program.cs so it stays loaded and ready to use? Okay, so it didn't like the fact that we are creating a new embedder here. Okay, so we're gonna have to move this outside, but we can do that later. Let me just come in here and make a note to myself, and I'll say one of the suggestions which Gemini just told me to do was not to have this embedder object created each time I run this function, because this will cause my application to crash in the future if I do this many times. So it suggested the singleton pattern. I will need to implement this in the future. Okay. So now do this, and awesome. Add this pre-release. Okay, the ID. Let's just run this in my bid engine, and we should ding 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 ding. Did we get it? No, we did not. Build succeeded. Chain validation. Okay, so copy and paste that into there, and now ID. This error happened because of defining this line. When you use new, you are creating a new anonymous object that only contains description. The original ID from the database is left behind. VID is equal to video. That's what I have though, right? Copilot woke back up. Yes, it did. Okay. Well, it's still unhappy. We'll figure. We're gonna get this one done first. Is currently elusive on the. Okay. Experimental. Okay. And then change this namespace. Okay. Let's try that. Okay. Okay, let's see if that was successful. Hopefully this one and this one looks like it succeeded. Okay, so now let's check my project file and see if we got it. I see it right there. Okay, so now we come up here and change this to be this one. Okay, like this. And now is this one change this to be like that, and we should be happy. And we need to generate embedding. Okay, generate embedding for that video description. Okay, kind of like this. Now we are very unhappy again for multiple reasons. Okay, video DB context, find. Oh, I like this a lot better. Oh no, video record. I'm just gonna see, like, if I copy and paste this entire thing, is it a problem with what I'm doing here, or I don't know. Is this one okay? Well, okay, so then what's the difference? Video description is not null, yeah. And then this one is unhappy with something. Okay. Using var embedder. Let's try using. Okay, well, it's still unhappy here. Float. Embedding array. Okay. Cannot. Okay, so cannot implicitly convert type system collections generic to float, and explicit conversion exists. Are you missing a cast? Okay. LeanQ has no modern C# library, returns an I enumerable. The PG vector change this to embedder, generate embedding to array. Okay. To array. Okay. All right, so now it seems to be happy. Service class. Okay. Since you're inside async task, I want to highlight something critical for performance. If you're processing 100 videos, you don't want to load and unload the model 100 times. Instead, create the embedder once outside of your loop and register it as a singleton. Okay. So next step is git add here committing, and what did we do? Created two methods for embedding video descriptions into vectors. Neither method works yet, but the structure for one has been created. In the future, I also need to change the embedder to become a singleton pattern so that I am not using memory creating and destroying the connection. The model, I think it is. Okay. All right. Model. Okay. So now I'm going to nope. Origin feature semantic search like this. Okay. So I think we are good right now. So I'm going to have to change a lot of this. I need to understand that. Okay. And then we need to save it back to the actual need to save back to the database. Okay, and then this is going to be like that, just to throw an error. No, hold on, like this. I don't know, I'm just trying to type something. And then like this. There we go. Alright, so in the next video, that's what I think I will start working on, is moving in that direction. So I'm going to take a little bit of a break. If you want to join me along on this journey, I would love to have you. Subscribe, and then we can go on this journey together. My name is Timothy Lee Grant, and I'll see you guys very soon.